Imagine a guy so ridiculously talented that Isaac Netero, yeah, the legendary chairman himself, ranked him as one of the top 5 Nen users on the entire planet. He's a man feared, deeply respected, and admired by the absolute elite. And yet, we know almost nothing about his true power. I mean, after hundreds of chapters, global auctions, that whole deadly Greed Island game, and literally species-ending biological threats, his actual Nen ability is still a massive question mark. So welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into the grand mystery of Ging Freecss. So I want to put this right to you straight out of the gate. What actually is the true power of Ging Freecss? Seriously, if we really want to crack one of the greatest enigmas in anime history, we can't just look at who punches the hardest, right? We've got to throw out the standard power scaling playbook, ditch our preconceived notions, and plunge headfirst into our own investigative evidence board. Let's look at the facts.
Section 1. The Mystery of Ging, and why he is considered a genius.
Okay, let's dive right into this by peeling back the outer layer of Ging's incredibly intimidating reputation. Because look, long before we ever see him throw a single punch, Ging is already established as an absolute titan of intellect and resources. He is literally operating on a totally different frequency from everyone else. Just think about these concrete accomplishments for a second. Years before the main story, he co-creates Greed Island with 10 other Nen users. That is a massively complex, Nen-infused reality disguised as a video game. Fast forward to the present, and he effortlessly infiltrates beyond Netero's ultra-secret Dark Continent expedition. He just casually usurps Pariston Hill, one of the most devious minds in the entire series, by the way, to become deputy leader, completely backing Pariston into a corner using sheer, unorthodox, out-of-the-box thinking. And when he's confronted by those lethal 11-man Stonewall mercenaries, Ging doesn't even bother fighting them. He just buys them out. He offers to pay them double what Beyond promised, all upfront in cash. It's wild. He wields wealth, strategy, and pure psychological dominance as easily as he breathes.
Moving on to Section 2. Known feats and Nen. The power we have actually seen. So, being a super smart billionaire doesn't automatically make you a top-tier hunter, right? Let's pivot our investigation to the tangible, on-the-ground combat and Nen feats we've actually witnessed. In the world of Hunter x Hunter, you know the drill. A standard Nen user gets categorized into one of these 6 aura types through water divination. You've got your enhancers like Gon, transmuters like Killua, the usual suspects. But when it comes to analyzing Ging, you kind of have to take this standard rulebook and just chuck it right out the window. His mastery over the absolute fundamental principles of Nen is so insanely deep that trying to stuff him into just one single slice of a chart, it honestly feels completely inadequate. To really understand why, we have to talk about Hatsu. Now, Hatsu is the ultimate peak expression of a hunter's Nen, right? It's their specifically crafted, individualized ability. It's shaped by who they are, their personality, their vows, their limitations, and their own imagination. But everything we've seen from Ging points to this terrifying, almost unnatural natural aptitude that goes leagues beyond just one crafted ability. Just remember that staged confrontation with Muher's heavily armed mercenaries underground. Ging just unleashes this absolute flurry of punches into the ground, flawlessly reproducing Leorio's remote emission punch, knocking out 3 enemies at once. And when a completely stunned Pariston asks if his Hatsu actually allows him to copy abilities, Ging casually drops this absolute bombshell of a line. He says, "I can usually imitate any punching ability as long as I've been hit with it." Get this. He doesn't even consider that to be his Nen ability. He literally writes it off as just a mere talent. So I really have to ask you, if perfectly cloning another top-tier hunter's meticulously crafted Hatsu after taking just a single hit is just a casual, everyday talent for this guy, what on earth is his actual specialized Nen ability? Honestly, it's a staggering thought.
Let's jump into Section 3, the Meruem comparison. Could Ging defeat the king?
Now, what's really interesting here is how this brings us straight into that ultimate power scaling matchup that literally every hardcore fan debates. Just look at how perfectly these 2 apex predators are juxtaposed. On one side, you've got Meruem. His primary strength is just overwhelming, apocalyptic biological force and aura. He plays this highly tactical, rigid, structured game, which we saw perfectly with his mastery of Gunji. Now look at the other side. We have Ging. His primary strength isn't biological dominance at all. It's extremely fluid adaptability, mental warfare, and taking enemy techniques and making them his own. Meruem fights to conquer, but Ging fights to understand.
So could Ging beat him in a straight-up fistfight? Yeah, probably not. Meruem's raw output is virtually unmatched. But the absolutely crucial point to take away from this is that in Hunter x Hunter, battles are almost never decided by just raw power alone. They are these high-stakes, life-or-death chess matches governed by incredibly complex Nen conditions, vows, limitations, and extreme psychological adaptability. So a battle between Ging and Meruem wouldn't just be about trading physical blows. It would be a terrifying, mind-bending clash of entirely different paradigms.
Which leads us to Section 4, the Dark Continent, the true playing field.
But honestly, even debating that Meruem matchup means we are looking at things through completely the wrong lens. Combat power scaling is just way too small of a concept to truly understand Ging Freecss. We have to pull the rug out right now and look at his actual playing field. 300. That is a truly staggering number. 300 years ago, a lone man attempted to chart the massive, wildly untamed Mobius shoreline of the Dark Continent, all by himself.
Let's map out this historical scale for a second. 3 centuries ago, that man, Don Freecss, sharing Ging's exact surname, wrote this legendary travelogue called Journey to the New World. Over the centuries since then, global superpowers, the V5, sent these massive, heavily armed expeditions out to the Dark Continent. And sure, they managed to retrieve some miracle resources, but their fleets absolutely decimated. Fast forward to today, and Ging is risking literally everything. He's infiltrating expeditions, burning through unimaginable amounts of wealth, all to reach this continent and find the unfinished West edition of that very book. Because he actually believes Don Freecss is still out there, alive and still writing.
And the reason he needs to adapt so fluidly is because the Dark Continent is absolutely not a place you can just conquer with a strong punch. Yes, previous expeditions brought back miraculous stuff, like nitro rice for ultimate longevity, or the Trinity elixir that literally cures all diseases. But the Guide of the Dark Continent forces survivors to bring back a lesson, and that lesson came in the form of the 5 threats, or calamities. We're talking about things like the gaseous lifeform I, or the human-keeping beast Pap.
These aren't just strong monsters. They are insurmountable, existential horrors that effortlessly wiped out humanity's greatest military and Nen forces. And just remember, Ging's totally chilling assessment of these calamities. He said, the best you can do against them is lock them up and throw the key. I think this perfectly shows that even a bona fide genius like Ging recognizes there are entities in this universe you simply cannot punch your way through. Surviving out there, it requires something else entirely.
And here we are at Section 5, the ultimate goal, exploration over power.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate philosophical revelation of our explainer today. Because really, what is the point of Ging's immense talent if it's not actually to fight? This contrast between the two approaches shows the core difference. Characters like Meruem, or even the absolute grandest Hunter Association fighters, they almost always seek raw combat power, right? Surviving via sheer dominance, just overpowering their foes. But look at the alternative. Ging Freecss is singularly, completely obsessed with uncovering the unknown. His fluid understanding of Nen, his crazy ability to instantly learn from his opponents, his relentless drive to chart the Dark Continent and find his ancestor. Ging's true power isn't in his fists, it's his infinite capacity to learn, to adapt, and to explore.
So, as we wrap up our investigation, I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. If a man can perfectly mimic your entire life's work after taking just a single glance, and he views the most insurmountable, deadly, terrifying continent in existence as merely a fun new frontier to study, is raw strength really the peak of Hunter x Hunter? Or is absolute knowledge and understanding actually the most dangerous Nen ability of all? Think about that for a second, and let it completely reframe everything you thought you knew about true power.